Okay, this is a POTEX 900, I think it's 900 watts. It's a battery jumper, air and tire inflator, and it's got a light in it and stuff. Barely work. Right now, the battery in this thing is dead. Like if you press this, it should have an indicator on here that says what the charge is, and it's shot. I already replaced the battery in this once, and it's smaller. It's a smaller, what do you call it, capacity. That's one of the disadvantages. The advantage is, though, it's lightweight. I probably would, if I bought this again, I'd get the one that was probably the strongest one, because you won't run the battery down. But these things are very, if you keep them charged up, they last a long time. But the reason I ran the battery down a couple times over the last several years was because I used it a lot. It's very handy for inflating tires, like especially on motorcycles, or if you got like a trailer like this. Get those little tires, you got to put them up to 75 pounds. They don't take too much volume of air. It does a good job. It does a good job on the car tires, but especially if you don't want to drag a compressor out. Now, the battery that comes in it is proprietary for this model. The ones that are like the 1200 and 1800 on this specification, they got replaceable batteries, no problem. This one is unique to this, but I did find another battery that'll fit, and it's the same capacity. It's 900, and I have that in here, and actually wore this one down too. It's advanced glass mats, AGM lead acid battery, and you have to attach the battery ground to this side, so it makes this a little shorter, right? But that's not really a big deal. It works just fine. It's the same capacity. It's 900, whatever you call it, 9 ampere hours. And this battery is the ML9 12NB Mighty Max. All right, so we'll take what you got to do. You got to take. Also, I made a thing in the back here. If you want to charge it up, you can actually get the charger on that positive lead. But the one on a positive lead and the one on this, you can use a different type of charger instead of the charger that comes in with this. So to take this apart, you just got some screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You don't have to take the screw out of the handle. You got to watch when you take this door out. That's about it. And I think there's 2. You got to take these two screws out, and there's 2 screws below this. So I think there's 8 screws. Remember, you got to take these 2 screws out, and there's a screw under there. So there should be 2, 4, 6, 8 screws. Okay, so after you get out these, 2, 4, 6, 8 screws, and you got to take these 2 end caps to get at these bottom screws. This will pull off, and you got to line up also these cover doors when you put it back on. This one, the cover door was cracked, so I got it taped. Now you notice in here, this battery actually fits in here just fine. What you got to watch though is when you're installing this, that you don't, short this out. So, do one side, then put a piece of tape over this, then install this side. And you can see, there's a little problem right there, right? Bulging out. Okay, on this, on the bottom, to slide this over, didn't do this last time, but I shaved down this end a little bit so this slides over with the Dremel tool, right down on here. Just made that because it was a little bit, now it gets on there no problem. So the positive, this is the negative. Okay, here's the other negative, goes on here. Now with this, you got to pull this. This is going to be a little shorter on your ground side for your jumper table. So you got to pull it over. So in other words, this would have normally been attached over here. So you got to pull it over. That's the only trick. This battery's got a little less height, but it sits in there just fine. It's got the right width, right length this way, and it just sits right in there perfect. And where this comes through the case, I put a little tape on here so it clamps down on this cable and doesn't pull it too hard or anything like that, although I don't think that's really, really need to do that. So you just got to put the nut on this side, and then I would put, you can put a piece of tape on here when you're installing this, the positive side, to make sure you don't short anything out, but it should be a simple process. But this battery works fine in here. They'll tell you, you got to throw these away, you get a new one. Now if you get the 1200 or the 1800, you got replaceable batteries right away. But this one doesn't have it. This one doesn't. This is the only way you can replace the battery. It doesn't have the proprietary standard battery that comes with it. You can't find it anywhere. But this will work fine. Same 9 ampere hours and everything else. It's lead acid, AGM, glass mat construction. Okay, she works. And you can see it's got a full charge. One of the lights is burned out in there, so that's the light. I'll put it on the charger anyway. This is for jump starting it. And the thing is, you got to shorten up, since this has to reach over to this side. And actually took me a little while because I lost one of the nuts for the battery terminal thing. You just got to hook it like this. It makes this about that much shorter, but that's not such a big deal, especially on the negative side. But it works. So that's the model JS86 POTEX 900. You can see it's got a 9 ampere hour battery in it. That's exactly what I'm using. But I would recommend getting a stronger one, because if you use this, the only advantage of this one is that it's lighter. It's lighter. Still works to jumpstart the car, but if you're going to use it a lot, you're going to run the battery down, and even if you keep it charged up all the time, all those different cycles, it'll wear the battery out. Like I said, the advantage of this one is lighter. If you get to 18 ampere, what is it? I think it's 18 ampere hours or something like that. That thing is going to weigh twice as much as this. So it's like hauling around a pretty good sized battery, but it'll last a lot longer. But then when the battery does run out, it freaking costs more money, but I think that would be more economical. But this is more like an emergency use thing. You want to use a regular air compressor for like just filling up tires. That's why I wore it out. I was using this like crazy.